Hey. Thanks again for pressing play and welcome once again to another edition of the Suns Jam Session podcast on the BLEAV Podcast Network, brought to you by FanDuel. Listen, everyone tunes in regularly knows my stance. I despise the NBA Cup, okay? It's a manufactured spectacle looking for a soul, right? But, being the pragmatist that I am, I decided to use it as an opportunity to squeeze some utility out of that special event. FanDuel is always there with the bonuses and the boosts when the NBA tries to make a Tuesday in November or December feel like a Game 7. And honestly, it paid off. My parlay was a work of art, right? Karl Anthony Towns for 2 or more threes, Dylan Harper to notch 10 points, Wemby to do Wemby things and get 2 blocks, cash money. If you're looking to turn your own delusional confidence into actual currency, head over to FanDuel. It's the place to be if you're trying to make these mid-season tournaments into something into your bank account. Just tell them Voida sent you. It's going to be a fun pod on this one. Interesting game tonight against the Golden State Warriors. Am I right? Win by 1 point, 99-98. The Phoenix Suns pull this one out. Plenty to talk about this. I got Holden Sherman back by popular demand to talk about this one. So let's get into it, Jamsters.
Session podcast, shooting the shit about the Suns since 2019.
Back them if you got them, my friends.
Just got water.
All right. Well, I'm rocking a Dos Equis. I need a drink after this. It's getting all over me. Look at this. Amateur hour over here. I'll sip that here in a minute. Just got it on my.
You look like you're still in college.
I know, right? What's going on here? Holden, how you doing, man? Welcome back to the Suns Jam Session.
I'm happy, and more than anything, I'm happy I'm done with finals. I'm so happy. I'm relieved. Like, I had to go back to school. So when I was on the pod last Monday, I was in Syracuse for one more day, but I had to go back to Syracuse because I had a week between finals and I had some family stuff. I literally drove to Syracuse all 5.5 hours, did it on a Monday, then got back on Tuesday, did the whole thing. So now I'm done.
Done. And when do you go back? Like mid-January?
Mid-January.
Dude, yes.
What the fun thing is, and this is Suns related, of course, is that after my first week, I hit the road and I'm going to be missing some school because I will be at Suns Sixers, Suns Nets, and Suns Knicks. So
heck yeah.
At school just to go do the bright side work.
Heck yeah. Well, for those of you who don't know, Holden Sherman, one of our senior staff writers over at Bright Side of the Sun, Suns correspondent on the East Coast for us. As he mentioned, he's going to be going to those games. I'm looking forward to that East Coast swing because the Suns have been playing. They're amidst a treacherous 14-game schedule right now. And of the 14 teams that they're playing, 13 are above 500 and above them in the standings or close to it, right? The Warriors below them in the standings, a couple games below 500 at this point. But this is an important game that the Suns played, and it's going to be a fun conversation here. And I don't know where to start on this one. So much to talk about. Let me think of a good question.
Matthew, I've got to ask.
All right, Holden, I thought of a good one. So this game, for those of you who don't watch it and you rely on the Suns Jam Session to kind of give you a good summation of what happened, was a close one late. Suns up 96-91. And Dillon Brooks, there's a lot of controversy because the Golden State Warriors didn't have any more challenges left. Dillon Brooks goes to block a Steph Curry 3-point shot, and Steph misses the shot. But on the follow-through, Dillon armbars him, right? Knocks him to the ground. He lays down for a long time. He rolls over. He takes his time. And despite them not having any challenges, there's still an official review for a hostile act. What happens? They determine it's a flagrant foul, penalty 1. Steph Curry gets 2 free throws and the ball. And then next thing you know, Jimmy Butler hits a 3, a 5-point possession when they're down 5 points. So my question to you, Holden, especially given what happened against the Los Angeles Lakers just 4 nights ago, are you a fan of Dillon being Dillon?
Yes, because he doesn't have that Marcus Smart feel to him for the Suns. And what I mean by that is the value proposition of him being disruptive. And when I mean being disruptive, I mean that in a negative way, not a defensive disruptor. If you look at what he did today, he had 24 points and he had the Suns, 13 of the Suns' first 15 points. And then if you look at what he did on Sunday, he hit the 3 to put the Suns up. So you can deal with that balance because the pain in the ass to being an awesome player ratio is still balancing out. And it's balancing out in games where he's responsible for a lot of things that he does wrong. And he did hack Curry. Now,
yeah, well, and like I've got friends, in group chats, and they're losing their fucking mind on this. How do they get, the refs are fucking us? How do they get a challenge essentially when they don't have a challenge? I go, this is all avoidable if you don't armbar the motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like he did commit a flagrant foul. He should have been called for that. I get that they didn't have timeouts left, but like integrity of the game, you just don't do that. But to your point, and it's frustrating because it's back-to-back games where had they lost this game, this would be a very different conversation, I feel. Yeah. Because you're right. He was the catalyst and the primary reason that this team was even in the game after the first half. He had 20 points in the first half. Devin Booker was 1 of 7, couldn't hit anything. And we're going to get into all this and really start to break this down. But he's responsible for putting the Suns in a position to even be competitive in this game after an abysmal first half by the majority of the team.
And also, there's two things catastrophically in the last 2 games in the end. They win one, they lose one. So it balances out, right? In my opinion, I feel like the Suns should have won the Lakers game at the end. They had more business winning the Lakers game than winning this one in a lot of ways, even though Curry did have a bad game. But I think that was he had a bad game, but
I got a good reason for that. I got a good reason. I know the reason for that. So let's talk about the bright side. Let's talk about the good stuff because we are coming off a victory.
Tell me the bright side.
Yes, we talk about Dillon Brooks.
Dillon, the villain.
So as I mentioned, 8 of 16 for 20 points in the first half. He was the catalyst of this team's offense. I mean, the team had 46 points in the first half. He almost had half of our points, Holden. Yeah. And I think that, again, when you have somebody like him, he's what I would define as like just a guy plus. He's not a guy, which there's a whole kind of hierarchy that I'm actually building out. Me and some coworkers really spent some good time today working on kind of what we think a guy is, just a guy, him, all that stuff. So this is something I'll be writing about on Brightside. And like, it was really a good conversation. But
like Gen Z dialogue.
Yeah, 100%. A bunch of 40-year-old guys sitting around be like, well, hold on. Anthony Simon's just a guy, like playing the different scenarios. But, he ends the night with 24 total points, as you mentioned. He was 10 of 23 from the field. So typical Dillon Brooks night, right? A lot of shots to get the points. Ends 4 of 9 from beyond the arc, 7 total rebounds. Also has 4 personal fouls, 2 assists. One of those fouls is a technical foul. And so I'll ask you this question, okay? Because I don't know how much research you've done here. Why is it so damn hard to find how many technical fouls a player has? Like, it's not on Basketball Reference. It's not on NBA.com. I have like a PhD in mining statistics in the NBA. I've been doing it for 6 years now, writing for Bright Side of the Sun, doing the podcast, wanting to have good stats to drop on people. Why is it so hard to find this information?
Well, this is why I don't know if you did, but this is why you got to be listening to the broadcast with the volume on, because Mr. Kevin Ray said he had 9 technical fouls. But if you notice, he said, I believe. I'm pretty sure.
I can verify it's true.
Okay, yeah. He said, I believe. So it shows even how hard it is for the people, calling the games to get that information. But he's got 9 right now. I tweeted this out during the game. If he gets 16, he's going to get suspended for 1 game. And he's done that before in his career.
who do you think has the second? So the answer is you can find this information on foxsports.com. Like, they've got a miscellaneous stats thing. I'm bookmarking the page along with my 20,000 other bookmarks to find on-off stats. I got B-ball index. I got all the little places because I want these stats. Who do you think? Now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys tied with 5 technical fouls. So Dillon Brooks has almost doubled up the league on technical fouls. Give me a couple names who you think are tied for second.
Luka.
Correct. He's got 5.
Rudy.
No.
Ooh. Draymond?
Rudy leads the league in flagrant fouls, by the way. Draymond, nope. He's got 4. A couple interesting names on here. Isaiah Stewart.
Jokic?
Nope. Jokic leads the league in, I was looking at random stats trying to find technical fouls tonight. He leads the league in lane violations. He's got 10 this year.
Okay. You said no Draymond, so I'm surprised by
No,
that.
yeah, well, he's got 4.
I don't know.
So you got Bobby Portis,
Okay.
Desmond Bane, Isaiah Stewart, and this is the one that shocked me. Jeremiah Fears.
Well, I mean, they're already in tank mode, so that doesn't surprise me.
But like the rookies out there just getting texts left and right. Like, what's that about? You know,
0 fears from him.
Yeah, I got like a ton of his rookie cards too. But I will say when we talk about Dillon Brooks, we got the whole gamut again this game. Yeah, I'm glad it didn't cost us a game because I don't want to write an article. It's just like, oh man, are we sure Brooks being Brooks is a good thing? It looks like it turned out to be okay.
I also think that the way that he plays has evolved as the season has started. Yes, he was 10 for 23, but I feel like when I'm watching the games, I'm not as confused about the shots he's taking. He had this one shot. I think he kicked it out. It was like in the third quarter. The Suns were coming back, and he had an opportunity to drive or shoot, and then he kicked it out to the corner. I think it was Royce O'Neal who hit the triple. I feel like his decision-making has slightly gotten better, and I think having Devin Booker on the court checks him a little bit too, because he knows, hey, I can't be the top dog as a leader or as a scorer. Kind of puts him in his place, per se.
It's going to be really interesting in just over a week when Jalen Green returns to see what Dillon Brooks becomes. Because you got to remember, the only game that Jalen Green played the entire game, there was no Dillon Brooks in that game.
Yeah.
And the great thing is he's not going to be foreign to playing next to Jalen Green. That's going to benefit the Suns. They're going to hit a soft part of their schedule. It's going to be a good integration for Jalen Green. And Dillon Brooks can, maybe just take, like 10 shots, 15 shots, and some of them being 3-pointers. He might return to being kind of like a 3-pointer guy who's just sitting there focusing on just being a menace.
Well, last year with Houston, he averaged 14 a game. They were the 2 seed. His role was reduced on offense, and he was fine. So, I mean, you just have to consider that. I do think he has a level of awareness. Amanda Pflugrad was reporting on his mindfulness before the game. There's a lot of calculation into how he plays. I mean, wailing with LeBron and such, like, I kind of think of it's not like a college athlete trying to portray themselves for a certain way for NIL money, but it's more a tone-setting thing.
Well, this brings me to a stat me.
Ooh, dang, stat me.
Did you know that in the last 2 games, Dillon Brooks has outscored LeBron James and Stephen Curry? This is our reality. Dillon Brooks, better than LeBron James and Steph Curry? Find out after the break.
Got to keep people on their toes.
What else you see from this game? What qualifies as the bright side to you, Holden?
For me, it is that the identity of the Suns is not Devin Booker. And what I mean by that is that it's not Booker or bust. Booker had a terrible, terrible, terrible first half.
Yes.
Stephen Curry wasn't great either, but I think you have to attribute that a lot to the defense that was being played on him. I attribute Booker's struggles more to just his poor shooting. I tweeted this during the game. But before tonight, continuing, Booker hasn't had a game where he shot over 50% from the field since November 12th versus the Pacers.
Jeez. Hey, I was at that game. That was a fun one. I took my wife. We had a blast.
And he hasn't shot over 34% from 3 since, like, on a game where he shoots over 2 attempts since, I think, November 6th. The one game he shot over 50%, he played only a quarter of it versus the Lakers. So I don't think that's reflective of a full game for him, of course. He has really just been in a struggle. And the assertiveness that I saw, Bouye, Gillespie, Goodwin, just attacking the rim. Brooks still getting to his spots. Mark Williams did not have a good game, but it didn't matter. Their best player was continuing to struggle. they didn't switch up their game plan. They still were hacking up threes. Royce was ready. And then when Booker was ready to take over, that's where you have a star player. That's your superstar. They were down 62-48. He came in. Well, Booker came into the third quarter, had a good mindset, hit multiple threes. And there was that one fadeaway shot. It was first made shot of the second half. You could just kind of feel it. You could just see it from the broadcast. That it might have been a turning point, and it was.
I want to get back to Booker for sure, but you mentioned Mark Williams. Why do you think he had a down game in this one? So 19 minutes played. Oso had 28, right?
Yeah.
2 of 3 from the field. He had 6 points. He had 4 rebounds. Oso ends with 2 points, but ends with 13 boards. And Oso was a -12. Williams was a +12. And this is a reminder to everyone, don't get obsessed with single game plus minus, okay? Because it's a product of the players you're on the court with. I could be out there with 4 great players and I'll walk away with like a +20 and you're like, wow, Voida crushed you tonight. It's like, no, man, I was on the court with 4 great players. So I'm not going to read too much into that. But it was definitely noticeable. I mean, it was 9 minutes total for Mark Williams in the first half, 10 minutes in the second half. Oso was getting the playing. Why do you think that was?
I think with the pace that the Warriors play at and the Suns trying to mimic that, he's just a better fit for the matchup. And in general, the old school traditional bigs, the Warriors have had a lot of success with, like just throughout the years with Draymond anchoring that defense. That's just where they kind of cook. I mean, they even gave Nikola Jokic some trouble a couple of years ago in the playoffs. Like, this is what they are good at. Like, it took the Rockets had to play double bigs in like the most humongous centers last year to have success inside against them. It's not it throughout the Draymond, Steph Curry era of the Warriors. The one thing that they've been really good at is stopping bigs in the interior.
This is true. I was that was my first guess as I looked at it, and I think it's the correct answer. It's funny because a lot of people. Not a lot of people, but like, on Brightside, I'll talk to people in the chat, right? Talking about the Nick Richards potentially going to the Toronto Raptors. And it's something I'll ask you about a little bit later. But one of the responses was like, well, Nick should be playing above Oso in the rotation. And in my opinion, that's not true because where Oso thrives is in matchups like this because he is more athletic. He's a better rim runner. He's a more cerebral rebounder than Nick Richards. Nick Richards has the size, but his basketball IQ has been a challenge kind of throughout the season. You see it night to night. I've never seen a guy who sits there and puts his arms out or puts his hands on his head after a play because he's frustrated with himself because he didn't execute a play or he didn't see something that the rest of the team is kind of seeing. Like, he's the square peg in the round hole this season. Whereas Oso, although he has a lot of limitations, especially as it pertains to shooting, does have a cerebralness about him. He does have that rim running ability. He has that athleticism. And tonight is a night where he effectively, because of those traits, can rebound and can avoid the Warriors, the way that they attack the bigs for almost up in your body and inside. Because that's how Draymond gets you. He gets into you and moves you off your spots versus other guys who can, they'll use hand extensions. Like, Draymond is a pro at this. And that's why, to your point, Rudy Gobert, big centers, right? Yusuf Nurkic, he had problems when he played for the Suns against the Warriors. You go through, centers in the past, if they lack any ability of athleticism, which not to say that Nick Richards necessarily does, but also gives you a better opportunity. And Mark Williams, this is the other way I look at it. This is the other side of this conversation. This is a night, and this is a team. One, we're going to be playing in 2 nights. Yeah. So having the ability to be a chameleon and throw a different couple looks at him is something that plays in Coach Jordan Ott's favor. But 2, there's going to be games where you're going to say, hey, you know what? And this is what I love about Ott. You know what? This is a better matchup. Combined with the fact that Mark Williams is still a guy who we're being very cognizant with how we operate relative to his minutes, the exertion that he puts forth on the court. If we can optimize the matchup and get him some rest simultaneously, that's a win-win for the Suns. Turns out to be a win-win-win based on the result tonight. And
another thing I want to add to it is everyone go check out John's Come On Malu Watch articles on brightsideofthesun.com. But I think you could see a world where whether Richards is traded or not, if Kaman Maliwatch can show the coaching staff more of an ability to be at NBA speed, he becomes a more enticing option off the bench than Nick Richards because if he can get his jumper right, he adds an element to the game that Mark Williams doesn't. And if Nick Richards isn't going to be that athletic presence, isn't going to be that cerebral mind, then why would you play him over Mark Williams? Oso gives you that switch up. Richards doesn't give you that switch up, and if he wants that, he would have to be a floor spacer, and that's just definitely not what he is.
And 100%. And neither is Oso, but he gives you those traits. And there's also a difference in the way that they finish. And this is what I've noticed with, Mark Williams is very strategic the way that he attacks the rim. He doesn't try to go through people. He's very technical and get around them and get a layup and get a foul as well. So he can get an and one and finish around people. Malawatch, what I've noticed in the G League thus far is he likes to go through people, and he's big enough to do so. Nick Richards likes to go through people, but he's not technical enough to get the foul, and he can't finish at times. So again, a long conversation about a guy who only played like 9 or 19 total minutes in the game. But bringing it back to Devin Armani Booker.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is
Big Dick Booker.
To mention 25 overall points. He was 9 of 19 from the field, ended with just 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 3 turnovers. A horrible first half, 1 of 7 in the first half, which ultimately means in the second half, turned things around, went 8 of 12 from the field, 2 of 4 from beyond the arc. 23 of his points did happen in that second half. He kind of jokingly on the broadcast afterwards, said that he took off his compression shorts, that are meant to support his groin because he's coming off a groin injury, and Aussie Suns fans in the chat says the bright side of this game, Book removing the groin shorts at halftime and turning back into Book. It's been a challenge for Booker, and, there's no doubt that he is, and we are waiting for him to kind of bust out of this slump, because entering tonight, 30.2% from beyond the arc. He ranks 95th in three-point shooting percentage among 103 players who've attempted 5 three-pointers a game. Not a list you want to be a part of. Now, granted, his three-point volume is down over the past few years. The Budenholzer era, it's kind of returning to a normal overall attempt ratio and shot diet of 5.6, which is where we kind of want him to be. It'd be nice if he start making them a little bit more. But it was a rough start from him. The jumper looked off. He's blaming the groin shorts. What do you think? You think it's groin shorts? You think it's form? You think it's the shot flattening out? You think he's pressing maybe because it has been a prolonged slump? What do you think has been hurting Devin Booker's jump shot as of late, Holden?
I think the complexion of the offense has changed a lot as the season's gone on because of Mr. Colin Gillespie. You have more mouths to feed. You've got more mouths to feed. Grayson's been in and out of the lineup. His role and what was expected of him before the season, which was kind of be this offensive anchor with kind of a few shooters around him and then just an ambiguous rest of a supporting crew, is not what it is. Like Dillon Brooks, he's averaging over 20 points a game. Colin Gillespie coming out of nowhere, boom, having the best month of his career. Grayson Allen is having a career year. Royce O'Neal having a career year. There's a lot of elements. Oh, it's the shoes. I guess the Booker 2s need to come out faster.
No, when he wears ever since he put on the Book 2s, that's what he sucked.
But they're not out yet, right? They're not
out. He's wearing them.
Okay, yeah. That's what I thought.
He's rocking the Book 2s.
Yeah.
And he's playing like shit. Go back to the 1s, bro.
No, but I think it's the way that the expectations versus reality of the season. But what I will say, and I want to bring up a tangential point, is what does it say about the Suns that Booker's had this? He hasn't shot over 50% from the field in over a month. And he hasn't shot for a full game. And he hasn't shot over 34% from three. 34% from three since like November 6th. And again, in a full game.
And they're still winning ball games.
Yeah. And they're still winning games with him in the lineup and without him in the lineup struggling. Right? Like, what does that say about the Suns right now? I feel like that's the more important question.
Well, 100%.
Stars will find their spots.
Again, and the people who are like, hey, trade him now because his value will never be higher, like, simmer down. Like, it's still Devin Booker. The number 2 guy in the team still isn't there. There's mechanical issues almost with what's going on. And I think he's pressing. I think we've hit this point where they're talking about in the media. I wrote a piece on Brightside about it. Arizona Sports, Kellen Olson, they were talking about the same thing that day. I feel like they read the article, and then Kellen really went on a deep dive and found more statistics like what you found, really breaking down how poor his three-point shooting is. Like, he hears it. he's pressing a little bit. And in time, there's going to be a flow that returns to Devin Booker. And I think that's when Jalen Green comes back. It's almost like this, hey, I've been the alpha so long. I need my Batman. And Dillon Brooks has been his Batman, although Dillon Brooks is more like Bane or something, or he's like the Batmobile. He does all the damage, Quick side note, the Seahawks won that game?
I just learned that.
Yeah, 38-37. They went for 2 late and fucking won it.
More than anything, how did Sam Darnold show up in a big moment?
Yeah, seriously. Only 270, though. It's a good fantasy day. 12 receptions, 225 yards, and 2 touchdowns for Puka Nacua. I'm playing Matthew Lissy in the Voida League Fantasy Football League.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah. And the funny thing is I've got Matthew Stafford on the bench. It is a super flex league. I got Josh Allen and Drake May.
Oh, okay.
Stafford.
That Browns defense is frisky, though.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, I should have started Stafford. I'm kind of pissed right now. Kind of pissed. All right. Anything else on the bright side? Let's see here. Oh, you know what? Let's talk about this guy.
Your villain junior is Colin Gillespie.
Gillespie. He didn't have a stellar game relative to overall statistics. Ends with a total of 16 points, 5 of 12 from the field, only 1 of 6 from beyond the arc because I bet on him to, I went to FanDuel today and I was putting together my parlays and I had Matthew Stafford over 300 yards in that Rams game. I had points plus rebounds plus assists with Cade Cunningham over with the Pistons game with the Pistons, who lost to the Mavs, by the way. So he hit that. I needed 3 3-pointers from Colin Gillespie, 1 of 6 from beyond the arc. Not the best performance by him. But there was that scary moment where it looked like he had a non-contact knee injury, and my heart went up to my throat. And then we saw the replay. Kaminga bumps knees with him, goes to the locker room, comes back. And I honestly don't think that the Suns win this game without him coming back because of the way he was disruptive in that fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter alone, ends with a total of, drum roll please, 2 steals, 2 huge steals. Now, one, he misses the layup on it, but Booker gets the ball.
Next week. He'll be unchecked and a fool next week. But it doesn't matter because the Suns won and Booker hit the free throws on that possession.
That was almost a travel, man. I didn't know if that hit the backboard. Like it was close. Yeah. But what did you see from Colin tonight? Looked a little off. Felt like he's been off a little bit because opposing teams are recognizing that he is fallen into the, probably the just a guy plus category that I've created in my little rankings.
So the stakes are so much lower, but it reminds me of game 2. I'm bringing you guys back a year and a half. Game 2, Pacers, Knicks, Eastern Conference quarterfinals or semifinals, excuse me. Jalen Brunson goes down. He comes back in the second half. A lot of people were calling it Jalen Brunson's Willis Reed game.
Yeah.
The Knicks win the game. It's that tone setting thing. And that starts with Dillon Brooks, and now Gillespie's the villain junior. It's just the energy that he provides and the spark and the belief. Like, I mean, it was a contact injury, so I wasn't watching that thinking, oh, this could be Achilles or ACL or anything like that. I did think he just bumped knees. But the crowd was reinvigorated when he got back into the game, and Jordan Goodwin and everyone else in the lineup just continued to stay aggressive. That pace was continuing to just go back and forth, and that's how they were able to build that 84-76 lead as well.
Yeah.
They built that when he came back into the game.
Yep, 100%. And again, what he's brought to this team, I did a whole podcast on what do we do when Jalen Green comes back, because what he's done to this team, this is why Booker can struggle. Yes. Because him, Jordan Goodwin, Dillon Brooks, these guys are stepping up and playing, having career years, and K-Ray said the stat a couple of games ago. I think it was K-Ray. Maybe it was a national broadcast, but they were like, there's 8 guys on the Suns who are having career years as it pertains to points. It's like, and it ain't Devin Booker, Yeah. What do you got? Anything else on the bright side, or is it time to talk about the burn book? I
want to talk about this stupid Devin Booker being traded thing. One, no, it's actually ridiculous. And like everyone knows who listens to last, but I'm not a Suns fan. I'm just a student who wants to be in sports media one day. So I've no chips in the game. I would say that, one, it's about creating culture with the Suns. That's why a lot of the players that they had last year are having career years this year. And 2, you're not going to get a player that's committed to a franchise and to a region. And you would know that a million times better than me. I think this dialogue about Booker needing to be traded is just lazy. It's just lazy fan talk being like, oh, someone's having a bad game. Oh, we don't need him anymore. Value is going to be higher than ever. People are struggling to find trades for Giannis. Devin's only 2 years older than 2 years younger than Giannis anyways. Like just we got to nip that all in the bud.
I think it kind of comes from the same ilk of the people who expect every player every game to go for 50 points.
Yeah.
If you don't score, and we felt this a lot, and I saw it a lot and experienced it a lot covering Kevin Durant the past couple of years. Kevin Durant would go for like 26 points a game. He'd do it in an efficient clip, and everybody be like, that was a horrible game. Now, granted, he'd have like 5 turnovers, but they'd be like, horrible game. Kevin Durant should get 40 every night. It's like, whoa, dude. And the expectation is everybody on the team does that too. It's just, it's strange. It's a strange sect of fandom that we interact with.
And also it undermines the importance of culture, continuity, and just overall.
Which are things that you envy when you don't have it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that it always comes down with Booker. And I'll say it, like I am pro Booker and I'm biased because I appreciate having players in my life who stick with my team. And while they might have their ups and downs, they're loyal to the fan base. And I appreciate that because I'm loyal to the team. It's like having Larry Fitzgerald as a member of the Arizona Cardinals for so long. You grow attached to these guys.
Also, if you're trying to win a title, not to cut you off, but if you're trying to win a title, don't you want someone who's in your foxhole when things are the worst saying, hey, I want to stay here? Booker had so many reasons to be like, see you guys. I'm going to go get Rockets, who literally said a year before that we made trades so we can set up an opportunity to trade for me. Nope, doesn't matter. He wants to be here. What does that say? Don't you want those type of people?
And only one team wins a championship every year. Yeah. And so some people are championship or bust kind of fans. Well, if it doesn't mean we're winning a championship, then it doesn't matter. That's the only thing that matters. Then why the fuck do you watch sports, man? Because how many, all right, Giants are your favorite football team, right? Okay. Yeah. You won a couple championships in your lifetime, right?
I mean, I was young, but yes.
But still, you know, it's every year, no. Who's your baseball team?
I'm a Yankees fan.
Oh, God. 2009? Is that the last time?
2009. That's a Mariano jersey right there.
You haven't even experienced the Yankees, right? Like, but you show up. Well, no, it doesn't. I hated the Yankees growing up. The Yankees were the Dodgers back in the
Syracuse
90s.
Sucks.
Oh, yeah, Syracuse. Yeah. They've had the last time they were good consistently was like Donovan McNabb was the quarterback. You don't even remember that shit. So it's just like, but you show up every year, and that's part of it. And you know what? I'd rather show up to guys who, when it's all over at the end of the season, I don't sit there and go, well, trade them all again. Because again, you said the key word earlier, Holden, and that's culture. And the Suns are developing a culture, and you need to have somebody who everybody on the fan base, when the littlest kid walks into the arena, and this is what always drove me crazy about Kevin Durant. He's like, the fan base doesn't like me. It's like, dude, the fan base on Twitter doesn't like you.
Yeah.
If you put everybody of the fan base on Twitter into the arena, it'd be like one section of the entire 17,000 seat arena. If there's little kids wearing your jersey who love you, it's the same thing with Devin Booker.
Oh, yeah. I think you have to be holistic in that way.
Yeah. And Kevin Durant's not. All right, burn book.
The Suns Jam session. Burn book. The Suns Jam session. Burn book.
All right, I have a couple things here. Things that, again, I'll write down in my little burn book. The first one goes out to this gentleman right here.
Yeah, bling, bling, bling. Rolls Royce, Rolls Royce, Rolls Royce, yeah, nigga, Rolls Royce.
I mean, 9 points, 3 of 9 shooting, 2 of 5 from beyond the arc. He had 5 total rebounds. He had 3 assists. He had 3 steals. He had 1 turnover. My problem with Royce O'Neal in this game is his vision, because I felt like there were numerous times in transition where the ball was in his hands and he just wasn't finding anybody open. And there were open shooters. Like, he wasn't cognitive of what was occurring on the weak side. He'd penetrate too far and then panic, kind of like Eric Bledsoe used to do. And I'm writing that down in my little burn book, Holden. I'm just saying, you know what? Royce's vision, if I continue to see this, there will be an article on Brightside about it.
It's funny too, because he literally 2 weeks ago in an 11 assist game.
Yeah, I know.
So it's so weird with him. I think he's the type of player I feel like would be really good on the Warriors too, because of his
100%
game. But I think he's another player whose role just varies so much from night to night. And I think when Booker has it going to start the year like he did, Royce also had it going. So Grayson also had it going too. So I think you can see a correlation between the player who brings the most gravity versus the shooters on the team and how they perform.
Mm-hmm. I'll allow it, but I'm noting it. A couple other things that go into my burn book tonight. Steph Curry ends with 15 points on 3 of 13 shooting and only 2 of 9 from beyond the arc. He did have 9 total rebounds, 7 assists. I was thankful because, again, when that game is close, late, and they've got Steph Curry, your asshole puckers for a while. And thankfully, it didn't work out for us. And he entered tonight after scoring 39 points in one game and 48 in his last 2 games. And the reason that he had a down game, he was wearing book ones.
Steph Curry is shooting 12 for 36 from the field this year against the Suns.
Jeez.
And he's shooting, I think it's 7 for 23, or 7 for 21 from 3 as well.
And that's huge. Yeah. If you remember the first game we played him, Steph also had an off night. It was Quentin Post and Moses Moody who smoked us.
And we after the first half.
Yeah, and that was a game where Matthew and I on the post game were saying like, hey, every time you play him, if that happens, and those guys are going to be your volume shooter guys, you're going to take that every time. Tonight it was Jimmy Butler had the quietest 31 points, 11 of 17 from the field. He really kind of attacked Book too. I saw him really take advantage of him. But the one thing I really want to talk about and put in my burn book, and Jonathan Kaminga.
Oh, so, I saw your Twitter.
He's out there providing a live action presentation on why he shouldn't be a Suns trade target. One possession at a time. It was very educational. Tell me what you saw from Kaminga, and tell me if you have now or in any time in the past had any interest in him as a potential trade target for the Phoenix Suns.
I think after, I want to call it 2.5, 3 years of just throwing darts on the wall at every transaction possible, having a time of I don't want to call it complacency because I don't think that's what it is, but having a time of staticness, I think is appropriate for the Suns. So I think we're going to talk about it later, but even talking about trading Nick Richards for Ochai Agbaji is something that is switching up the culture. I think Kaminga, I didn't necessarily love how his management team handled the contract situations. He never had the leverage, and then his agent is going on podcasts, like the Hoop Collective, kind of, I don't want to say pleading his case, but portraying everything in a way that would be most beneficial towards him. And I think Kaminga's handled the DMP CDs well this year, but he also doesn't have any option because he really has like so little control. And if his player option, his team option gets accepted, it doesn't seem like it's going to be because of his talent. It's going to be because he can be a human trade exception, as people like to call it.
Yeah, 100%. He signed a deal, team option, as you mentioned, 2-year deal. The Suns offered him upwards of $90 million for 4 years, which is average annual value of 22.5, which is what he's making this year.
Yeah,
and he was a desirable asset at that time for the Suns. They've recently, per Arizona Sports, John Gambadoro stated that they've cooled on him for a couple reasons, but the primary reason is the fact that he signed that extension with Golden State, and it's only for 2 years, so it's a lot less flexibility. So if you are going to make a trade for a guy who makes 22.5 and you're giving up a Grayson Allen plus a Nick Richards or however you want to make the math work, you're doing it for a guy who's going to be here 2 years. I don't think that, again, when we talk about culture, I don't think that he's somebody who will fit our culture. For those of you who've listened to the pod or read my writing on Brightside throughout this entire ordeal dating back to the summer, you know where I stand. I'm not pro Kaminga in any capacity. He's a lazy player, in my opinion. People like him because he has shot creation, if you will, but I didn't see him create any shots tonight. He shoots the same as Ryan Dunn from beyond the arc, and he's a net negative on the defensive end. So why would we want that for 22.5 a year? So I'm glad that the Suns are no longer interested in him. I'm glad that the Suns, again, didn't jump at the first shiny object that expressed an interest like they did with Bradley Beal when Matt Ishbia first took over that summer. Like, ooh, Bradley Beal wants to come here? Well, he was an all-star once. Like, he's got a no-trade clause. Like, Bartelstein didn't even tell Ishbia that. He's like, well, my dad's the agent, so I'm not going to tell him that. But I mean, this shows growth. by the Phoenix Suns that they've stood fast on that transaction because that one was potentially out there. Now, granted, we'll talk about it after we go through Subreddit and Jamstar and all that stuff about the Nick Richards situation and kind of, what's developing there. But I think that it's a smart move. And again, it was a reminder tonight watching Kaminga play. You're like, yeah, he gums up the offense. We don't need that on the Suns.
And also, he wasn't playing with other shot creators out there, right? The Warriors played the Cavs, I think, a week and a half ago. No Curry, no Draymond, no Jimmy Butler. Kaminga was out there. He wasn't. He had an opportunity to show himself, and he didn't. He had in that game. Oh, he had 4 points and was 1 for 10 from the field. The Warriors win. It was the Pat Spencer game. But I want to say one thing. If the Suns traded for Kaminga, presumably he'd start, which means that 2/5 of the starting lineup would be the 2020 G League Ignite team.
Yeah, I know, right? Him and Jalen Green.
I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. And then second of all
offense, no defense.
I think that Grayson Allen is just a flat-out better player than Jonathan Kaminga.
I
Just flat out. So why would I make that deal?
I would say that Jonathan Kaminga, in fact, we were having this conversation at work today. Jonathan Kaminga is just a guy. Grayson Allen is just a guy plus.
Yes.
And that's because he's
elite at something. He's elite at something.
He can score you 10 3-pointers in the game.
Yes.
And that matters.
Yeah.
The Suns Jam Session Subreddit Stakeout. The Subreddit Stakeout, brought to you by Nettles Air Conditioning.
You need a unit, we've got you covered. NettlesAirs.com is where to go, brother. Call 623-444-4888. Nettles Air makes your home feel great.
Woo! All right, well, the Golden State Warriors, always a good place to hang out during the Subreddit Stakeout. And it started off early. Where is she? Just to make sure we're all on the same page. We all hate Dillon Brooks, right? Then somebody said, I hate Dillon. And then somebody said, fuck Dillon Brooks. One of our role players must hit Dildo Brooks one time. Dillon Brooks, proudly collecting fouls like infinity stones. And then, I mean, I could go on all day about Dillon Brooks after the interaction with Steph Curry when he got the technical foul. I mean, the whole time. But there was one comment that I found kind of interesting. Warriors are trading Kaminga for Dillon Brooks, aren't they? And somebody responded, I hope so. So it's funny because, again, every now and then in these subreddit stakeouts, when you're hanging out in opposing teams' areas and they hate Dillon Brooks, there's always one guy who's like, yeah, that'd be really fucking cool if he's on our team, right? And everyone's like, well, yeah, but still. And so, again, that happened tonight. Oh, great. Sideshow Pods checking in. I saw that. I stole that and I tweeted that. I was like, oh, Sideshow Pods. That's a great name. What's that?
Are you a Simpsons fan?
Yes.
Okay, I was raised on the first 12 seasons of The Simpsons.
Oh, dude, me too.
Back of my head. Like, seriously.
Sideshow Bob, man.
Yeah,
when we had Robin Lopez, that's what I call him. I call him Sideshow Rob.
Okay.
Because he looked like Sideshow Bob.
I see it, yeah.
Pod's bitch flop deserves to be overturned. I love that. There's a lot of Warriors fans in Phoenix. The cheers are loud when the Warriors sink a basket.
You could hear the yelling on.
Yeah, you could. And somebody responded to that and they said, we are a legion. And I've been there for Suns Warrior games. And it's 100% true. Because of the Warriors run a decade ago, you have a sect of fans who are, a lot of them are around your age, right? 10 years ago when they first started watching basketball, that was the team that was hot. So they fell in love with them. And, now you see Steph Curry jerseys all the time.
As a Suns fan, but also as for you, as a member of Suns media, what is your relationship with the Warriors? Like, how do you view them? And how do you view, I don't want to ask you about Draymond. We're just wasting everyone's time. But how do you feel about Curry, especially?
Ooh, man, this is a good question. So Curry is generational. He changed the game. I don't know if he necessarily changed it for the better because he changed it from something that I thoroughly enjoyed growing up and watching basketball. Now, don't get me wrong. The league became stale for a while and it needed a jolt. And I'm thankful that Stephen Curry provided that jolt. I think that like most NBA fans, the run that they had became boring because it was them and the Cavaliers every single year. And it almost felt like, you got to remember that during those times, the Suns were really bad.
Yeah, really bad. Yeah.
So it didn't matter too much because it's like, well, we're not competing with that, so I didn't run into the same feelings like I had with the Suns playing Jordan in 93, because that was just like, dude, we're so close and we have to run into this buzzsaw. Whereas here, it's like the Suns are a lottery team. We're not going to compete with that. The goal was eventually to try to emulate what the Warriors have become. And at the other side of it is there was, as a Suns fan, you felt proud of the Warriors because they took 7 seconds or less and they perfected it.
Yeah.
Steve Nash was around for the Warriors. So I don't hate Steph. I've never had any disdain for Steph Curry. I have some friends who are very anti-Steph. It never hit me the same way. I've always enjoyed Steph Curry. I really have. He's one of those guys who's like, once he's gone, you're certainly going to miss him. Like when LeBron's gone, I'm not going to miss him, dude. I've spent the last 20 years just being frustrated by LeBron and people putting him in the same conversation with Jordan. And, I'm like, it's two different players, It's like he's the better version of Magic early in his career, and he's going to have the greatest career when it's all said and done, but he's not the greatest player of all time. With Curry, he's more of that, hey, where does he fall around Tim Duncan and Kobe Bryant kind of conversation? Those are fun
We'd be here
conversations.
in the morning, your time, if we had a conversation about Kobe Bryant right now. So we'll never.
Kobe's so overrated. He is unbelievable. He's like the fourth best Laker all time.
I thought it was fifth. We talked about this.
Yeah, it was fifth. It was fifth. I forgot. I was forgetting Kareem in that conversation.
Well, I'll say one thing though too with the Suns and the Warriors is in 21-22 and 2021 there was no intersection. So when Chris Paul was traded to the Warriors, I thought it was overblown in the media how they were talking about the Suns part of his relationship with the Warriors. Like there was no intersection there.
Yeah,
they missed each other.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing I'll say is he scares the living shit out of him. And there's very few players who scare the living shit out of you. He won, and we saw it in the Olympic run. We've seen it his entire career. Like LeBron has never scared the shit out of me. I mean, he can do. That's why I'm so pissed that Devin Booker fouled him on that 3-pointer 3 nights. You let LeBron shoot a side jump 3-pointer fading away from the basket. He's gonna miss that shit all day.
And also, when LeBron was telling them to challenge, that's how you don't challenge. Like you're not smarter than LeBron. So if LeBron is saying to do something, you do the opposite.
Yeah, exactly.
I noticed that. I was like, well, this is going to be a foul. Yep. LeBron knows better than you do. I think he's older than Ott too. I'm pretty sure he's older than Ott.
Oh yeah, he's older than Ott. Ott's in his 30s, I think, still.
Yeah.
A couple more comments so I can take this mask off. What a way to lose. And then the final comment, which I think we can all understand. I hate sports. The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout. All right, this is a big responsibility you have, Holden, because I'm going to make a graphic based on what we talk about.
Jam Star of the Game.
All right, Jam Star of the Game. Who are you giving it to in this one? This is a tough one. It's a tale of two halves, right? Booker has a shitty first half. Dillon Brooks has a great second half. Dillon Brooks is pretty much non-existent in the second half, except for throwing an arm bar at Steph Curry in a crucial part of the game. Devin Booker has a great second half. Who gets the Jam Star?
Devin Booker. And I'm very confident on that one. The Suns were down 82-68 in the second half, and he spearheaded their comeback. He had 13 points in the third quarter, and he had 10. He ended up with 25. He had 10 in the fourth quarter. He hit some huge shots down the stretch. That one jumper over Jimmy Butler with a minute left, less than a minute left, was huge. This is the type of energy that the Suns need from Booker, intensity-wise, and then also just the shot making when Mark Williams is non-existent, when Royce O'Neal's in and out when it comes to his productivity, when Colin Gillespie is not hitting a lot of threes, when Grayson Allen is not in the lineup, when Mark Williams is just a zero factor. Goodwin and Bouye were solid, but one, they played small roles.
Goodwin hit that free throw.
Yeah, but they're
missed the first one though.
No, oh my God, he missed the first one.
Oh my God.
They don't I have to give it to Booker. I'm just rambling.
I'm going to go with you, and primarily it's because that shot that he hit when the game was tied after all the hullabaloo with the flagrant foul and them, the Golden State Warriors having a 5-point play, 96-96. It's Devin Booker who goes down and calmly just gets to his spot, rises up, knocks down the shot. That's the shot that won the game for the Phoenix Suns. Now granted, the Steph Curry responded and Jordan Goodwin hit the shot, or got the free throw on the rebound and got two free throws with 0.4 seconds left, missed the first one, hit the second one, but Booker's the one who gets it, in my opinion. Before we get into what's next, I do want to talk briefly, we've mentioned it a couple times, talking about Nick Richards. I'm trying to find his drop here. There it is.
Vicky, the great Nick Richards. Richard means Dick, that's why he's Vicky, the great Nick Richards.
All right, so reports coming from Hoop Hypes today. Michael Scotto saying that there's been conversations initially between the Suns and the Toronto Raptors. So if you guys aren't aware of that, that's what we're here for, to break down some Phoenix Suns for you, some news for you. What's that?
I said Big J journalism right here.
Yeah, Big J journalism showing up, letting us know what's going on, doing the work. Richards for Ochai Ajab. I always say his name wrong. Abaji. And a second round pick. And for those of you who don't remember Abaji, I remember when he played at Kansas 3 or 4 years ago, a decent shooting guard, but essentially it would be the Suns trading Nick Richards to the Raptors, the Suns receiving back in return Abaji and second round draft compensation. That can be 1 or 2 picks. What is your thought on that initial conversation? Now, we know that if they're already talking about it, it's probably kaput. It's like it's gotten to the point where it's probably not going to happen. But what is your thought about something like that, knowing that Nick Richards makes $5 million and Abaji makes 6.8? So the Suns would essentially be taking on 1.8 more in payroll. But if you do kind of the math as it pertains to luxury tax, because they're over the luxury tax, it's about 5.5 overall. Doesn't affect the cap, but that's what
for the Raptors
would be paying.
Cap more, and that's one of the reasons why they'd have to attach attach a draft pick to it.
Say that again.
For the Raptors, reports have said that one of the reasons why they do this is because they want to get below the tax.
Yes, correct.
And so
they'd be shedding 1.8 in salary,
and that's why they have to give up probably more compensation. What I find most interesting about it, let's say this theoretical trade happens, and the Sun, it's just a Abaji for Richard straight up, but the Suns get a second round pick. It is building the treasure chest that isn't a treasure chest right now. It's a piggy bank with like a few pennies in it. Yeah. It's literally a piggy bank with a few pennies in it. It's this slow approach to building up your asset bank and taking advantage of small opportunities and just kind of being available. That's why the Nets have accumulated so many draft picks the last few years. They're just available. They're the team just ready for a trade. A lot of this is math sometimes. And the Raptors, Jakob Poeltl's has missed a few games so far this season. Colin Murray Boyles, another one of their bigs. They drafted him 9th overall this year. He's young. If the Suns can find a way
Who's the other center? Can you say his name?
I'm forgetting who it is.
It's Sandro Mamukelashvili.
Yeah, I think he used to play for the Bucks.
Spurs.
Spurs. Okay. Well, what do I know? But if the Suns can just slowly but surely just build up that asset treasure chest, that's a positive. And also, you don't know what that's going to come up to. And let's say the Suns end up having a bad contract that doesn't look like a bad contract right now. So that's another thing that they can attach if they want to get rid of something.
Yeah, there's pros and cons to this. So the way I look at it first is Nick Richards is most likely the guy who's going to be moved at some point because every team needs size, even if it's bad basketball IQ size. And like I said, Nick Richards is kind of the thing that doesn't fit. It also means to me that the Suns are looking at Kaman Malawach and saying, okay, we're ready to move him forward to the next step in development where we are starting to give him some burn, even if it's 10 minutes in a night, right? Whatever Richards' minutes are, you plug Malawach in because we're at phase 2 of my grand scheme on how to develop him this year. The problem I have is the fact that you are getting back somebody who's not going to play. I mean, how many shooting guards can we have, right? Like another shooting guard. Now, granted, he's more of a wing. He can play the 3. And he was good last year from beyond the arc. He shot 40%. I think he's at like 13% this year. Like he's not playing much. And when he does, he hasn't been productive in Toronto for a very competitive Toronto team. For a Toronto team that is like the Phoenix Suns in the Eastern Conference, where they're overperforming their expectations, And I think that, to your point, if you can say, what I think the Suns should do is they need to do a 3-team trade. It's like get rid of Richards, get Abaji here with a couple second-round picks, but Abaji ends up being routed to Charlotte, and we get a power forward out of the deal. Because that's the thing I think we need more than anything is a bigger wing.
But at the same time, the Suns accepted Richards' team option. They could have just not had him, and having a draft pick is better than not having a draft pick.
This is true.
And also, it could be a change in the patience approach for the Suns front office. I think it was you were talking about how Nurkic got traded for Colin Sexton, like when during the offseason. Nurkic, the Suns had to attach 2 picks that they got from the Jets to get rid of Nurkic. Just being patient can get you better value for things.
100%. And the other side of this is I see everybody who wants that power forward, myself included. There's not a great market out there. Anybody you're going to get for Nick Richards is going to get paid, within this range, right? Like 125% or of his contract or less. It's not going to be a great roster building guy, a guy you're like, yep, that's the guy. And if you can accumulate it, to your point, Holden, as long as you're accumulating assets and especially second round picks, like they're the salt and pepper to the meat, the steak that is a trade. Yeah. You throw a couple of those second round picks, you can get back somebody eventually, not right now, but further down the line. And perhaps they've taken a look at Abaji and they go, you know what? That guy hustles his fucking ass off. He'd be great in here in case we need a guy to come in, because Jamari Bouye is not going to be here forever. He's a 2-way contracted guy, right? He's only has X amount of games left that he can play. So I'm not completely opposed to the idea. I like the fact that the conversations have started and that they're starting to shop Nick Richards because he's the guy they should be shopping. You're not going to get great value back. Again, we go back to the same people who think we need to trade Devin Booker and that every guy should score 50 points every night. They're also the same guys who are probably in their fantasy league thinking that they can win every transaction by offering Josh Allen or getting Josh Allen while offering, Blake Corum. It's just not going to happen, right? Like you have to live in reality and understand that there's give and take. Now, the advantage for the Suns, to your point, Holden, is in the past we had to trade a guy and picks just to get off of his salary. Now we can trade a guy, get a guy, and get picks because we've been patient. We've put ourselves in a position and have the correct assets to ascertain that kind of return. And that's a step in the right direction for the Phoenix Suns.
And also for players who are actually on the roster, so Nasir Little and Bradley Beal do not count, even though their cap hits are on the Suns' salary books. How many bad contracts do the Suns have right now?
Not a lot.
They call Jalen Green's a TBD. Like put that in a different.
He's a TBD. Brooks is an amazing contract because it decelerates.
Yeah,
it's less next year.
And also for like an all defensive player who's averaging 20 a game, who's changed the culture, you definitely are not going to complain about him making.
Grayson Allen's playing up to his contract, which I felt was somewhat inflated and we wanted to see. Royce O'Neal, he's properly paid. He's 10 or 12. And everybody else is below that line. The Suns, minus all the dead cap space, as you stated, are in a good place relative to not having bad contracts. Whereas this time last year, that's all we talked about. We're overpriced, inflated contracts.
And also, too, you saw this with the Rockets last year during the trade deadline. They just wanted to stand pat. I think you're going to see that that same thing this year from the Pistons. Just wanted to stay pat. Keep your powder dry, even though the Suns barely have any powder. But just more than anything, start to develop and build a culture.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's not like Royce O'Neal is going to be here in 5 years, but it's about establishing an identity. I thought one of the smart things that the Hawks did, I know this is a throwback, but the Hawks got to the conference finals 5 years ago. What they did before that season is they signed Danilo Gallinari. Mm-hmm. They signed a few veterans. Like they got Bogdanovich. They surrounded players that could help their culture right now. And it paid off much faster than they anticipated. The Suns are actually doing the same thing right now, too.
Yeah. And they need to continue on that path.
Yes.
And that's why, again, the word patience will always be at the forefront of the 2025, 26 Phoenix Suns. That's the guiding light this year. So, all right.
last thing about this. Would your relationship with how you look at the Suns' long-term future and building be different if they took that Pelicans trade? And for people who don't know, the Suns were offered the Pelicans pick that the Hawks have right now, which is the better of the Bucks and Pelicans pick.
And Hawks, yeah.
Yeah, Pelicans pick.
I wouldn't have looked at them different. I think it would have been a savvy move. You got to remember, if that was the case, we would have still gotten Mark Williams. We would have gotten Derek, or we would have given up the possibility to get Derek Queen. We would have moved back. How many draft?
23rd.
Yeah, 23rd. There were some guys in there I still liked, because I'd done a lot of research around that area, because I forget what our original draft pick was. I think it was like 29. Was it 29?
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, you're right. And I wanted Kalkbrenner. I really wanted Kalkbrenner. I had a whole plan. I'm like, we need Kalkbrenner. We need Sion James, Tyrese Proctor. I like those Duke guys. And we got the best one of them all, who's not Cooper Flagg or Con Knippel,
Yeah.
God, what a loaded fucking team.
I know.
I think it would have been a smart move, but I'm excited at the prospect of Kaman Malawach. I like what we have in Mark Williams. I like that we became a big team, because the Suns have never been a big team. Talked about this before. They're just not a big team. We don't have huge guys. We always have to rely on grit and hustle to go get rebounds, where it's like, why can't we just have a big motherfucker who grabs the boards? And that's what we have in Kaman Malawach. He's doing it down in the G. You're seeing him be more confident. You're seeing him read the balls better and understanding not only how to rebound, but once he gets the rebound, he's looking up court and trying to get an outlet pass. That the Jordan Ott ball is kind of morphing into what they're doing in the G, and it's preparing him for something that hopefully will be special here in Phoenix. And I really hope that happens with Malawach. He has the upside. He could be Embiid, or he could be the beat. Time will tell.
You think there's a world where he can play next to Mark Williams?
I think for periods at a time he could, because he can stretch the floor. I mean, he hit 3 threes in his last G League game. So I think that he's showing it's not always pretty, but as long as he's a threat, that's all you need, because that stretches the defense. That's all you need. So I would love to see some twin tower action, 10 minutes at a time. That's a lot of time. But if you get 10 minutes a night with twin towers, or just knowing Ott, doing it matchup based.
Yeah.
Who are we playing tonight? Big team. Okay. Let's throw these guys out there 10 minutes at a time, disrupt their interior, maybe get them in foul trouble instead of us being on the other side of that.
Yeah.
So, all right, Jamsters. Well, I know it's like 4 a.m. over where Holden's at, in
1 a.m.
Jeez, God bless you, man. To be young again. I got to get up and go to work more. I don't have finals. I got a job. But I appreciate
it. I know that.
What's that?
I know that having a job is worse than finals. I know that.
No, not for that week.
No.
Well, I appreciate you coming on as always. Probably have you on a lot more, because again, Matthew, he'll be MIA here and there as he's getting ready to have his first child. So do me a favor, remind everyone where they can follow you, Holden.
Follow me on my Twitter at Holden Sherman 1. But more than anything, follow my podcast, Holden Conversations, like Holden a Conversation. I interview members, and thank you for Suns Fever 83 for the shout out. Great show, guys. Thank you. Put that on the screen, John, please, and thank you.
Working on it.
Holden Conversations. I interview members of Gen Z on their media experiences. So I've done stories on what it's like to cover the Super Bowl, what it's like to be an NBA broadcaster, what it's like to cover the NBA draft. I was at the NBA draft. Shout out Bright Side of the Sun. Shout out John Boyda and Harrison Fagan. I'm actually going to be publishing an episode on Monday about what it's like to continue to pursue your passions while dealing with cancer, which I'm very, very, very excited about. I spoke to a student who is a media student who had cancer over the summer and fought through it, dealing with her internship. Unfortunately, she's cancer-free now. I just published an episode on what it's like to cover Bill Belichick as a college student, what it's like to interview celebrities. Like I interviewed this person named Liam Crowley who works for this company called Screen Rant. It's kind of like IMBD. It's an entertainment media company. He's interviewed John Cena, Adam Sandler, Scarlett Johansson, every celebrity you could think of. Like literally, he interviews actors for a living, Chris Evans, so on and so forth.
That's awesome.
Holden Conversations. Follow it on YouTube, and then also check out my Instagram channel with it, where I've got exclusive short form content with it as well. Holden Conversations.
Awesome. And you can follow me at Darth Void and read my writing at brightsideofthesun.com. We'll see what happens on Saturday. Suns playing the Warriors again. Don't know if I'm going to do a post-game podcast then because it's, Christmas with the mom about a week early. So we'll see what happens. But if I do come on, I'll probably be a little intoxicated, guys. But appreciate you all for hanging out, listening. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you rate. Make sure you review if you happen to be listening to this podcast versus watching it. Make sure that you go home and love your family and fuck cancer.
Hey, you're listening to the Suns Jam Session Podcast, shooting the shit about the Suns since 2019.